Hey yo everyone, today I'm going to be reacting and, talking about your hot takes. When I asked you guys to leave hot takes, I specifically asked it on the second channel so I wouldn't get that many comments. It hasn't even been a day and there's 138 of them. And I was thinking of how I'm going to make this video in a way where I can answer as many comments as possible. Did not have to edit for 5 hours because this video is going to have like 1,000 views. So what I decided to do is, you see gameplay in the background, but you can also see me scrolling over here because I'm going to put a mask over this. So anytime I'm talking about a comment, I'll be highlighting it like this. And this way you guys can see what I'm talking about, and I don't have to screenshot every single comment and just go like that. Also, this video is going to have very, very minimal edits. So yeah, I'm just going to be reading what you guys have to say and talking about it because I love doing this. I love arguing with people, and I actually have a stream planned where I'll be arguing with my viewers. I'll just get them in voice chat about DBD specifically, and we'll see what happens. We'll sort everything by top comments, so if you got likes, it's more likely that I will read. I will try to read as many comments though as possible. Let's get right into it. Glowstick Eater says they should add fog back to the maps, or at least some of them, because so many things revolve around fog in this game. It's literally a big lore thing too. See you in the fog, brother. Is the fog in the room with us right now? I actually disagree with this one very heavily because I feel like fog, whenever anyone brings an offering to make the mist more prevalent in the game, you either don't notice it, but when you do notice it, you see that it's very annoying. Also, I have League open in the background because I was playing TFT. I'm sorry, let me close it out of that because I was making a sound. I think fog is very annoying, and it almost serves no purpose other than being annoying. I know you said that it like things revolve around fog in the game, but it's mostly just the lore. DBD is no longer a scary game. The killer having an advantage, being able to hide in the fog, is annoying, and also the survivors hiding in the fog is also annoying. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think it would serve a purpose in the game. They could add a fog effect that maybe wouldn't hurt vision as much, just so it would fit the lore. I could see that happening. But the whole reason people use filters and everything, and the whole reason they're bringing like gamma settings to the game, is because people want to be able to see. And I feel like the fog would just make it annoying. I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I don't think vision impairments is a good thing in this game at all. Levy Hammer says it doesn't matter when you drop Shack Palette so long as you get value from it. Now, this is very situational. It's very hard to say when dropping Shack Palette, at any time is good. A lot of the times it is worth it. And again, just my personal opinion and my personal experience with the game. I have almost 3,000 hours and I fully focused my entire life around playing this game. I understand the theory of the game very well. I don't think it's always worth it to drop Shack Palette, especially if you can play around the Shack window. The Shack window is strong enough by itself. Even if the palette is already gone, Shack is a strong tile. So play around the window, drop Shack Palette if it's your last resource. But yeah, I guess if you're a newer or like giga casual player, it is better to just avoid taking a hit and just dropping Shack Palette because you can't guarantee that you're going to last much longer after that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I can see it from a casual player perspective, but if you want to improve as a player and be efficient, I wouldn't say it's worth it to drop Shack Palette at any time. It's actually kind of inefficient. I mean, it's extremely inefficient. Though taking the first chase to Shack makes the killer less likely to keep chasing you if the killer is smart. So you can do that at the start of the game. And yeah, the killer's most likely going to drop chase. Not Voni says, my hot take is excessive amount of licenses in the game. Don't get me wrong, a lot of the ones we have are absolutely amazing, but I would like to see more original characters with their own unique lore and powers rather than another popular horror icon. Especially now that they're shifting to the show like as a video Knicky. I also think, like with most games, eventually behavior is going to have to cut back on killers to get more unique / game-changing powers. Game changing with the powers instead of regurgitating the same power, just slightly different. I kind of agree. I mean, the reason they do so many licenses is obvious. What really sets DBD apart from other horror games is really the licenses. DBD does have a better like gameplay loop than most other asymmetrical games, but having fucking Michael Myers in the game and Leatherface and Freddy, the Nightmare guy, does really help establish the game as like a big thing. You know, a lot of people call the game the Hall of Fame of horror, and it is like cool to have horror characters in the game. Like it is one of the biggest draws to the game. I know I didn't get drawn to the game because of the licenses, but I certainly stayed because of them. Having hype new chapters, like when the Xenomorph was about to get released, I was so hyped for it. It turned out to be a big disappointment, but I was really hyped to see it, and that's the reason they keep doing it. People get hyped. Just look at how many waves the Five Nights at Freddy's licenses is making, and you can see why they're doing it. I do agree that eventually they're gonna have to cut back on killer releases to, you know, introduce more unique powers. But I do feel like a company of behavior size, especially when you notice just how focused they are on making chapters, that's their main thing. That's what they do. Because that's what makes the most money. They will have ideas for killers pretty much forever. Every 3 months is a huge time period for a company of that size. And even though, yeah, the powers are getting boring, that's just because we played the game too much. Honestly, me and you and Voni, we just played the game too much. A lot of people just like play the game and they don't really notice. Just as long as Myers is chasing them, they're not thinking whether Myers has a fun, balanced power. They're just like, oh my god, it's Michael Myers chasing me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like that is wishful thinking in my opinion, but let's see. I hope they do make more fun powers. Palma says the Chucky slow walk is the most fun thing in the game to watch. I agree. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but if you're on console, you can like slightly push the stick up and then you have a slow walk. That is super funny. And also if you chem trap a Chucky, he also walks that way. It's pretty funny. It's unfortunate that this video is low quality slop, so I'm not showing it on screen, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. You know what I mean? Puffalope says, Puffalope bigger than Puffalope. I don't know who this Puffalope guy is. You guys keep telling me about this guy. I have no idea who he is. But yeah, I mean, if he's better than me, I don't know. Leafy Dog says, all killers are strong in their own way, and people who say a killer has no way of being useful are wrong. Also, life needs a nerf. The first argument, I agree, actually. I think this comes from the wrong place. I think this comes from a very... I don't know. I don't think it comes from the right perspective, but I do agree that every killer has a way of being useful, other than maybe Skull Merchant, unless you count making people DC as being useful, because right now Skull Merchant is a little too weak. But even killers like Trapper that people assume are the worst killers in the game, they still have a way to make them work, and every killer can work in solo queue. So yeah, I actually agree. But not that they're strong in their own way. Trapper is like theoretically strong at holding down an area, but if you really think about it, and this is a hard concept to understand, Blight is better at defending an area than Trapper is, because Blight is just faster at doing it. You know what I mean? It's like people look at Skull Merchant and say, yeah, Skull Merchant is the best 3-gen holder in the game, or old Skull Merchants. But no, Nurse is, because Nurse is just better at everything. You know what I mean? So there's a clear power difference, and I know you're saying that you're not saying that there isn't, but it's, I mean, I guess they can be strong in their own way, but they're still not strong overall, is what I'm saying. Piero Laboule says, killer are the fun source of the game. It is this role that will decide how the game will evolve, and if you will have a good time during the play is full under his control. And in addition, if you have a good killer with personality, even if it's one-side match for him, you will have fun too. I mean, this is just fun. I can't argue with that. I don't think killers with personality are fun, but that's because I'm a war veteran in this game. I have too many hours. I want to get chased when I play Survivor. I don't want a killer goofing around. I think that's actually insanely boring. But I think what he means is that killer dictates how the game is going to go, and this is just true. People that disagree with this are just, I mean, they're either like hyper killer mains or they just play in Swifts. Because if you do have a 4-stack coordinated and players are good, you can dictate how the match is going to go. But even the way you run around tiles in this game is dictated by the killer. The killer is the one after you. He dictates where you're going to have to run to. So I agree. Killer is just a funner role overall most of the time. Like, if you were to put in a balance, I think when Survivor is fun, it's funner than Killer. But Survivor is so unfun during so many different games that overall Killer is just more fun because it's more consistently fun than Survivor. Blight Hug Tech wasn't overpowered as everyone thinks it was. Bump Logic is way stronger and much more consistent when done correctly. Hug Tech was just a more fun and allowed for an easier time for picking up the killer. That's scope, Bryce. I'm sorry, bro. Coming from a Blight main, I was Blight main before they took away Hug Tech. And I stopped playing Blight specifically because they took away Hug Tech. That's because I was so lazy. And this is what Lilith said as well. People were lazy with Blight. You could just Hug Tech everything. You didn't have to learn how to play the actual killer. Blight was overpowered with the Hug Tech, and it made the killer a lot more threatening in a lot of situations. And it really brought no counterplay a lot of the times as well because of just how fast he was. He was overpowered. I don't think the Hug Tech really pushed him that much higher in terms of strength, but it did definitely give him a huge boost. You know, Bump Logic, in theory, has always been better, but there's a lot of situations where the Bump Tech, the Bump Logic is just not going to get you a hit where Hug Teching would. So, I mean, I think that's cope. And I think you're a Blight main, and it's all good. I agree. I wish they would bring it back, but that's cope. You're coping, bro. Bring back face camping. The anti-camp is next to useless if your team can't see it. In Killer is just proxy camp now. At least face camping made it obvious when it was happening. Plus, it's just funny. Yeah, I think the anti-camp meter is a terrible, poorly introduced, lazy mechanic that barely does anything most of the time. I do think that it discouraged face camping, and on Killer, I thought I was gonna hate it. You get used to it. It's very lenient, the mechanic. As long as you're not literally staying in front of the hook, you can hang around it. It's fine. You can still proxy camp just fine. If you're getting survivors to Kobe, you are just not playing super well. So I don't know. Face camping is just. I guess I'm feeding into his argument because he's saying that it's just funny. But I don't know. I don't think face camping should be a thing. But I don't think the anti-camp meter is what fixes it, to be fair. Trickster should have a skin with no jacket like David. Yeah, I mean, okay, bro, you're just thirsty. I have a few, and I hope that's okay. Gotta provide content. Okay. Wake Up is one of the strongest survivor perks in the entire game. That is wrong. That is just actually incorrect. Wake Up is a very niche perk, just like Adrenaline is. It only works when you have to be in a situation to open the gate. And it might actually teach you bad habits because you're always going to be the one to open the gate, and it might make you a less efficient player overall. It's wrong. That is just wrong. I don't see, like, if you argue this with the best players in the game, I don't think anyone would ever tell you that Wake Up is one of the strongest survivor perks in the game. Especially if you're putting it against, like, Deliverance, Decisive Strike, Dead Hard. Nah. Self-care is a top tier perk. It's not. It takes too long. It's inefficient heals. It's actually better to get healed by 2 people at the same time than it is to self-care, if you guys didn't know. Self-care is not as bad as people think. I do think self-care has a place in the game, and there's a lot of situations where you can use it very, very well. Like, especially endgame. And it's a lot better than Strength in Shadows, and people don't understand that. I think self-care is a better perk than Strength in Shadows, even though it takes longer. But also, items are so abundant now. It's so easy to bring items into the trial that there's no reason to not bring a med kit with 2 heals over self-care. When are you going to be in a situation where you have to heal yourself more than twice in a game? It's very specific games. Yeah, I don't think self-care is ever worth it to put in your build. Unless you're specifically playing into, like, very good killers that are going to play for slugs in the end game and stuff, then self-care could be good. I could make a video about it. Plunderer's Instinct should always be part of your build. Okay. Content creators are the biggest reason people who hate the game hate it. Once people start learning about tile generation and killer speed, the slight variation in survivor noises, etc., it's officially unfun. that's unfair assessment. Content creators are going to create content about the game, and people are going to look. My dog is barking. People are going to look and learn because they want to look and learn. What people don't understand is that people will learn one way or another. If you got rid of content creators in general, yeah, a lot of people would be clueless. That's just unrealistic. The content creators are creating content and they're improving at the game because that's what people want to watch. And if people are watching and wondering why they're good, they're going to tell them why they're good. And then they're just going to learn. Optimization is just part of human DNA. Like we optimize anything and everything we can. We are efficient creatures. And it's very rare for us to do something for an extended amount of time without trying to optimize it. You know, even if it's playing a video game, maybe it's a wrong mindset to have for video games, but it's just the way that pretty much everyone works. I've never met anyone that just sits there grinding out this game for 2,000 hours and have no wish to improve at the game. You know what I mean? I mean, there might be people like that, and not that I say it, there definitely is people like that, but it's so unlikely that you will play for 2,000 hours without improving and without looking for ways to improve. So I don't know. I can see the reason why content creators are to blame in your mind, but I feel like people would do it anyway, and it's just the way video games work. I have no problem with people wanting to get better at something, and I have no problem against any specific creator. I just personally think that it takes the fun out of the game when you get that invested into it. I mean, bro, it takes the fun out of the game for you because you're not trying to improve as much as other people are, and you're just getting stomped. I don't know. I don't know what my take is on this. I think it's kind of entitled of you to say that, like, content creators are doing it, and I'm not even like trying to defend myself, but yeah, I don't know. Puffalope has multiple personalities, one that shows in his videos and one that he only shows on stream. You can tell by his random scream / outburst, which he only shows on stream. In his videos, i.e. LFB, you won't ever see his random scream. Ayognit, that is completely incorrect, especially because I am not one to waste content. So if I'm sitting there screaming on stream, it is likely going to be in my YouTube videos. You strike me as the type to only watch my LFBs where I have a guest and I'm behaving to not make the guest uncomfortable. And even then I scream. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you're trying to like do a getcha here, like a gotcha. You're fake. But no, I'm the same person every time I'm creating content. Now there's an argument to be made to where I'm a different person in real life because I'm not entertaining people in real life. I'm just being me. I can see that, especially if I'm speaking a different language, but not stream / YouTube because my YouTube videos are directly taken from my streams, and a lot of people hear my screams. It happens all the time. So I don't know what that means. Coal Merchant didn't deserve the nerf she got. SM 2.0 was a C tier killer at best. I believe that if they just removed the haste entirely from 2.0, it would have solved the... Coal Merchant is flawed in her design in general. Now, I do think that the Coal Merchant hate is just like too much because there are killers that do what she used to do, but better. And those killers are still annoying. Skull Merchant is just another annoying killer, but it's very because of the original Skull Merchants, it became so polarized that it doesn't matter what they do with the killer. Frankly, I think that people are still gonna hate her. Now, talking about didn't deserve the nerf she got, I think something needed to happen. I don't think killing the character was the way to go, but I do think she couldn't have been left the way she was. You know what I mean? I don't know. You can't find it's too hard to find a balance between fun to play versus fun to play against. But Skull Merchant was just not fun to play as or against in the majority of people's opinions because Skull Merchant was a very unpopular killer. And, you know, killers like Huntress and Wesker are super popular because they're fun to play as and particularly fun to play against as well, in my opinion. So I don't know. That's maybe not a nerf. Maybe I would rework Skull Merchant entirely, and I think they did just kill her on purpose so that people will stop bitching about her, and then eventually they're gonna get around to her rework. But I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't stand up waiting for it. I don't know if that's how the saying goes. Nurse is fun to versus. I like not having to think when I loop her and just run around the outskirts of the map and trying new stuff like Lucker jumps to fatigue her. If you're playing against a mediocre to good nurse, you can't loop a nurse. The only way you're looping a nurse is if she's making a mistake. There's never you doing anything, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. A good nurse will not give you the opportunity to do those things that you're talking about. Yes, you can play well against nurse, but I think it's a fake concept, outplaying a nurse. If you watch nurse chases in 1v1s, I actually was watching someone play 1v1s in VC. I don't know if I can say their name. It's a content creator, much better than me. And they were doing a nurse set, and the expected chase time in a nurse set is less than 30 seconds. Because optimized nurse gameplay, there's nothing you can do against. Now, you're not going to be playing against optimal nurses all the time, and mediocre nurses, I still think, are boring to play against because they're just not DBD. My dog won't stop fucking barking today. Well, I don't know what's happening. He never barks like this. I think he knows that I'm recording. But yeah, I disagree. I think Nurse is one of the most boring killers to face in the game. It's a pub stomper, and so it stomps anything. It's a killer that was made to counter infinites in 2016, and it never got patched. Nurse is just completely unacceptable for DBD. But it is what it is. We're used to it by now. Unknown is the most fun killer. That's an opinion. That's not a hot take. If you think so, that's awesome. Hey, that's great. It does need to put more focus on restoring a horror vibe. Nah. That is long gone in Necromaster. That was the original intent. Maybe it is no longer the intent with the game. Very few people play for the horror aspect of this game. And I can't see a multiplayer game where a person is controlling the monster being horror for too long. It is nah. I don't know how to express my thoughts on this, but yeah, I'm a Skull Merchant main. That's all great, bro. I hope you like losing every game. That's kind of what you would expect. I mean, I guess not. I guess against solo queue, you still win most of the matches. But if you have fun, hey, Amulet has fun with that, so I respect it. Michael Myers' hospital outfit is OP because the feet are too distracting. Yeah, whatever you say, Burger Time. We need old Deadhard back. No, we don't. I would love to have it back, but it's not healthy for the game. Old Deadhard was OP. It is what it is. Spam price has always been better, though. Survivors should not be able to use map offerings. Map dependency is something survivor role doesn't really experience. It's difficult enough to win as killers, and then if they choose, I mean, it just comes. I mean, you can tell that you only play killer when you say something like that. There are maps that are straight up free losses for survivor as well. There are killers that do way too good in certain maps, like Dredge on Midwich, or any killer on Midwich for that matter. I don't think anyone should be able to use map offerings. I think map offerings should die. Yeah. Jin shouldn't be kicked out of his power after his 5th hit. You should be able to keep going and slug the entire team like twins. Yeah. And Nurse should have 7 blinks. And no fatigue. Tunneling and camping is healthy on high MMR because serves are too OP in Swift. Hey, True Talents, I didn't know you had an alt account, bro. That's awesome, man. I do think tunneling and camping are part of DBD. And if you're playing in a Swift, it is actually fun to play against. Because I mean, I bet if Nixie Plus played against me and 3 other competent players and he tried tunneling and camping, he would lose every single match. The problem with those two strategies is that if they're employed in the simplest way, that is an inefficient play that only works against bad players. And if you're, again, what I'm saying is if you tried tunneling and camping with 3 other good players that understand the game, you would lose every single match. Every single match. You would have a better chance at getting more hug stages if you didn't tunnel or camp against competent players. But that's a concept that people don't understand as well. The only reason those things are frowned upon is because they're very good against unskilled players, and it takes the fun out of the game for those unskilled players, while not being very effective against better players. Now, smart tunneling and smart camping are still the best ways to win this Keller, but there's a very huge distinction between the two, and I don't think casual players will ever understand it. You know what I mean? Like they will never understand it. I don't think Nick Z Plus will ever understand it. So I mean, this is just a big killer, only plays killer comment. So I don't know. I guess I already did reply to it. Unknown is S tier when it comes to fun to play against. That's an opinion. Every killer except Nurse and Chucky should be 4.6. I don't want to elaborate. Every killer except Nurse and Chucky should be 4.6. No. How about no? Piper? How about no? Shirtless cosmetic for Wesker? Yeah, bro. Keep thirsting. Hot take 2. Give Quentin his Speedo outfit from... Hot take. Buff is a S tier DBD creator? That is a hot take. I fully disagree. Terrible. This game is 100% killer. It's not. There's no 100% in this game. It varies from game to game. Like, just like this comment is a I only play killer, this one is a I only play survivor. It is not. It is not. Someone who plays killer hunches mostly in survivor equally. I highly doubt that. If you're saying that, I highly doubt it. Unless you have like 150 hours, then I could believe it. This just comes from ignorance. This is okay. I don't mean it in a rude way. It's an innocent comment that you made, and I don't like that anyone can just share their opinions in this game without being shut down by like. That's why I would love a ring system so much, because this guy has no idea that this is an ignorant comment because he only has his own experience to go by. So he shall never know just how bad he is at the game to think like that. Anyone that says anything like that, killer or survivor sided, you are incorrect. The game is whoever brings the strongest shit and wants to win more sided. It's as simple as that. This guy is just telling me a whole story. I can't read that. It is possible to play chill and use perks you like over the meta perk. You just have to understand that losing is not the end of the world. Looking at you here, Puffa. When was the last time I brought a meta build? I only played this game to make videos, bro. I'm not trying to win most games unless my challenge specifically tells me to win. And if I'm trying to win, then I will bring the strongest stuff. I don't know why he's saying this to me. Me, of all people. I'm sweaty? I mean, I guess I am. I don't know. A lot of the community's toxicity comes from ignorance more so than actual haters. This is too long. Hardar, I know I told you guys to elaborate, but this is too much. If I'm patrolling around a hooked survivor and I hear an unhooked sound go back and the unhooked survivor is body blocking me, preventing me from getting the unhooker, then I'm allowed to tunnel and slug you because you decided instead of running away with your BT. Yeah, I mean that's called legal tunneling in my bubble. If a survivor is using their anti-tunnel perks to stop you from going after the other person, as legal tunneling. It's also, if you're biting the bait, survivors that do that usually have unbreakable DS and OTR. So you can't win. You kind of just have to hit their OTR and go after the other player if you are trying to do the most efficient play. Because slugging them is just a waste of time. Now you gave distance to the other survivors. And yeah. I mean, you could tunnel them, but I don't think it's the right play most of the time. Queuing solo survivor should give a basic bond. I think that's too much. I think Kindred is okay. And I do think a ping system would help a lot. Basic bond. Would that be too much? I don't know. Solo queue is so shit. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Plague is one of the most unfun killers to go against. Yeah, I can see that. I don't mind Plague as much. I think Plague is solo queue stomper. And yeah, when I'm playing solo queue, it's actually boring. Map offerings aren't a big deal because there's already a chance that you're going there anyways. I'm trying to think of an example of something else. It's like saying that showering is useless because you're just gonna get dirty anyways. There's a point in bringing map offerings. If you know that a map is strong, you're guaranteeing it as opposed to having a chance to go there. Map offerings are unhealthy for the game. And this is the most non-argument I've ever read in my entire life. And also, playing in a bad map, he's saying that you should use it for a learning experience. If you're playing Freddy on Batum against a 4-stack and you don't have the right build, you will just lose and you will learn nothing from it. Killer specifically, I think there is certain situations where maps are just like bad for Survivor and they will lose regardless and not learn anything. But I feel like Survivor, you can learn from every match you play, as opposed to Killer. There are matches where you will just not be able to win. And at the same time, I believe that you can win every Killer match. I'm contradicting myself, right? If you're not prepared for a sweaty match on Killer, there will be matches where you just can't win. And yeah. And there are Killers that are weak enough to where you can't win every match. So, yeah. Puffalope is actually a young and hip guy. Yes, I am 24. I haven't even turned 25 yet. I have a lot of hair in my head, and I'm very cool. Dracula is really fun to play as and against. Fair, yeah, I agree. That's an opinion. The old DBD only looked better for the fog and color of maps. The old graphics, textures, and animations were nowhere near as good as what we have now. I actually agree with that entirely. You know, people calling for old movements, but it looked so bad. It looked so bad. The whole game looked really bad. The lighting was better though. Yeah, the fog and the color of the maps were better. I do feel like it. That's just because it looks different. Maybe we just played the game so much that we just want to look at something different while playing the same game. I don't know. Okay, it's a tunnel/slug/camp. If it wasn't, behavior would have made it a reportable offense by now. No, but they're introducing mechanics to counter those strategies, right? But it is okay to do it. Yeah, I agree. But again, it's what I was talking about earlier. If you try to tunnel slug camp me and 3 other good survivors in VC, you will not be able to do it. It's not because Survivor is OP, it's just because you have to know how to do these things and when to do these things. And I don't think if you're trying to like get free wins by tunneling and camping Baby Meg and Baby Dwight, you want to improve the game to a point where those mechanics would actually work against good players. So yeah. Remember Me is better than No Way Out on high mobility killers. I do think Remember Me is broken, yeah. I think Remember Me is a lot better than people think it is, especially after the buff. No Way Out is more consistent though. It's more consistent and it's easier to get value out of than No Way Out or Remember Me. Dead by Daylight is fundamentally not made to be balanced. I agree. It is a asymmetrical game. They've never made a real effort to balance the game on a wider level. It is as balanced as it can be right now, or as balanced as it's ever been. But it's never going to be balanced in the. I don't think there's a single game out there that's balanced. In fact, that is impossible. Like trying to a perfectly balanced game, it's completely impossible. I'll always think original chapters are better, and I think I will always have more hype for them. Yeah, I do like original chapters a lot more than licensed chapters if it's a licensed chapter that I don't care about. OG Eerie Tag on Blight was fine. Was that the Insta Down one? I don't remember what it did. It was the Insta Down. Yeah, it was fine. It was actually a bad add-on. Blight base movement speed should be 105 or 110, at least due to the nature of his power. I do think Blight should be 4.5, yeah. I don't see why Blight should be able to miss his power and then just chase you down like a normal killer. It's dumb as a Blight main. Behavior needs to remove double flash blinds. Killer with this taking an animation being blinded by no. What's that? You're just new to the game, bro. Just look at a wall. Or patrol around the slug you just got if you suspect the players are there. Double flashlight blinds. If there's 2 people going for a flashlight save on you, that's 2 people off generators. For a long time as well. And if you can't find them, I don't know. You just got outplayed. There should be no RNG in main buildings and map-specific tiles. I could see that, I guess, yeah. But then there would be always the theoretical best way to loop everything. It would be less fun overall, I think. Especially if you play killer. Like you would, if you played against good survivors, they would just run the most efficient way possible around everything, and no matter how you're chasing them, because everything would be studied. and solved. So I don't know. There's already that to a certain extent in the game. There's always a more most efficient way to loop every single RNG and pallet position, but people don't care too much for it. I do think in a world where everything was not RNG, people would study it a lot more. And it would be very boring. I think RNG is important. Bring back 3-blink nurse. It's in the game. It's in the game. I've had a constant discussion in the community of the game being favored one side to another and the overall strive for perfect balance to be kind of exhausting. To me, the game overall isn't killer or survivor-sided, but instead each individual match can be, and I really like that. Sometimes we're going to load into a match. Agreed. Yeah, this guy said what I've been saying. I do think that the egregious unfair stuff should be removed from the game though, which they've done a decent job at removing, so can't really complain too much about that. I don't know why Tombstone is in the game and Nurse is in the game, but it is what it is. Dracula is just top 5 when using his wolf add-ons. Everything else is just the worst version of other killers and does not make him broken. No, the thing is that he has access to worse versions of other killers that are good in different situations. So I don't think the wolf changes anything. Wolf is just a weaker wesker, and if you use it in the right spot, it's good. That's why he is top 5. The us versus the mentality is DBD's biggest issue. That is the coldest take ever. That is the coldest take ever. Nice. I think literally everyone agrees. Trevor's with basic skins are the worst. That means Survivor Puffalope versus Killer Puffalope, not even close. I think Survivor Puffalope would die really fast to Killer Puffalope, especially nowadays. I think I would destroy myself in a 1v1 if I were playing Killer. And that's funny to think about. I think tunneling and slugging is completely fair in DBD, only if the killer has little to no hooks. It's okay at any time. It's completely fair at any time. Just get better at the game. So if they come into games with offerings and perks to mess with the killer, it deserves being treated however the killer means. I agree. Yeah, but how do you know that they're bringing an offering specifically to mess with you? What if they just like the way Eerie of Crows looks? It is unlikely, yeah. But you have to understand that you're assuming that they're like that. And I do that all the time, so I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that you don't know the truth. Yeah? Develop is B tier? Yeah, I guess. That was the definitive correct opinion. The worst part of the game is the maps. The worst part of the game is the community. Nah, I'm kidding. Maps are up there though, definitely. Singularity overclocked mode is overtuned. It's supposed to be overtuned. You can turn it off by using EMPs. But yeah, well, the Singularity is still a very strong killer. Found best killer, incorrect. Incorrect. Legion has the best killer cosmetics sent out. Yeah, because they keep feeding Legion cosmetics because Legion is the easiest killer in the game, and a lot of like newbies can just pick them up and be immediately good, and people like instant gratification, and so they're gonna buy skins for Legion. And also Legion just has the prospect of having as many skins as possible because it's just people. You can give them different designs and stuff. Legion is the equivalent of Garen in League and fucking Scarlet Witch in Marvel Rivals. Or Namor in Marvel Rivals, I should say. Those characters that you can pick up, and your gameplay will not change in your first and 40th match. You will play the exact same, having similar results as well. The only thing that changes is your macro gameplay that changes on every killer. But the base kit power design is the simplest it can possibly be. And there's no way to make a mistake, really, on Legion. Making people mad is by using Nomad is hella funny, and I do it just to get a chuckle out of people. But I mean, as long as you're not complaining when people are sabo squatting and flashlight squatting you, because I guess they'd be using for the same reason. So I mean, if you're laughing when people are doing that to you, then there's no problem. Nurse is easier, but actually though, Pig is the most fun killer to play against. Personal opinion, I guess. I mean, I guess all of these are personal opinions, but this is just like I like this killer. What can I say? You think we should let more other side of gameplay than chase? Maybe my stealth focused. Like chase is DBD. Trust me. Hey, going against Knight? Me too. Unless it's Pixie or Pixie is listening, then I'm okay with Knight. Kaneki is overtuned, probably. but he can't down with the power. So I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. Up to stuck B tier forever? Nah, I'm going down, bro. Next week. Should listen to their community more. No need to elaborate. They should. They should. I do agree. I do think it's very entitled of us to think that we know better than the devs, but the devs clearly don't know how the game works. So it's very rare to trust them. It's a whole different topic, but I don't think they care about the game, really. Not the way we think they do. Ugh, it pisses me off just to think about it. Or should be buffed. Yeah. Should be buffed into a different game. It should be so overbuffed that she ends up in fucking Mortal Kombat in these DBD. Rework the new killer. It's impossible to stay healthy for longer than 5 minutes in chase. True, yeah. I mean, the first hit on Kaneki is completely free. The gameplay experience is so varied that survivors need to memorize catalogs of killer-specific counterplay. The killer gameplay experience is so lamey that the bully squads stick out as the only deviation from the norm. Both are hurting the game. The survivor gameplay experience is so varied that survivors need to memorize catalogs of killer-specific counterplay. You are contradicting yourself. If you say that bully squads take out as the... Oh, no. Oh, you mean that as killer, you enjoy playing against bully squads. Tim, I don't know what you mean here. I think killer is more varied than survivor. I think survivor is a harder role to master than killer is. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Complain about killers that are B tier or below. You have a skill issue and shouldn't talk about game balance. Not everything is about strength. I think Clown is a shit killer and he's still very annoying to play against because he gets free hits. He's weak for the wrong reasons. So, but I mean, if you're talking about it overall, I guess. The Moonbouquet offerings should come back, or they should at least add different lighting variations to maps. I agree. Make no white base kit. Nah, it would be too bad for casual players. There should be allowed almost guaranteed hits if they have to work for their power. Mainly in reference to Alien, but you should full stop be undodgeable. Is it probably like? And then there's no gameplay. There's 13 replies. That's how you know that what you're saying is just unacceptable. No. Like no, there's no game. There's no game. We're trying to play a video game here. Haddonfield used to look beautiful. Now it's just a street. Yeah, sure. Puffalope top 3 in what? I don't think I'm top 3 in anything. This game is forever sided. You're bad. 3 characters shouldn't have outfits that are only available for RXLs. Fair, yeah. I mean, but you can also look at the other way, where like they're not getting any money from releasing the chapter because it's purchasable with in-game currency, so they should be allowed to monetize the skins. But I do think that for a paid game, though it's online, I don't know about monetization, to be fair. I think the game is balanced. It is more balanced than it's ever been. Yep. The game's graphics, I know I just said that you're bad at the game, Soulsy. I don't mean it like that. It's just that you can't argue it like this. The game is not survivor-sided. We've talked about it in other comments. It's useless to try and argue something like that. Game's graphics need a whole rehaul among the bug fixes. Using filters shouldn't be necessary. Agreed. The map offering change is the worst thing in the new PCB alongside the Xenomorph turret rework. Agreed. Is the worst thing. The map offering change is the worst thing. Why? Lots of lore is super lackluster. Yeah. Singularity is the hottest character. Fair enough. Skull Merchant would have been released in our current state. Survivors wouldn't hate her like they do now. I agree. Yeah. They would still think she's boring, but they wouldn't hate her as much. I agree. In a different world. Exhaustion didn't make rap play viable. It just forces players to develop game sense rather than relying on R rating. Nah, it did too much for too little. And it also encouraged ratting, even though it didn't make it viable. You could still be a viable rat, but distortion just makes it that much stronger. And it's just a boring gameplay that shouldn't be encouraged by a perk. You know what I mean? Michael Myers is the worst killer? Not even. I don't even think he's top 10 worst killers. I think he's much better than people think. And that add-ons make the game a lot less fun in general. I don't know what you're arguing here. It's already been 40 minutes. I'm not going to read all that, but yeah, disagreed. All DBD animations are better. Someone said the direct opposite of this. The old animations they did look funnier, but that's because they were just goofier and bad. Killer is very easy. It depends on what you're playing. Depends on what you're playing against. There's so much that goes into it. How many comments are left? I feel like I read some. Oh, okay, we don't have that many to go, so I'll just read all of them. Way too many killers. This is good. This is just a good thing. More variation is good for games, for online games. That's what keeps people playing. Most players see camping and telling a cheap tactics, but from a strategic standpoint, they maximize pressure for no. I've talked about this many times. Go back and listen to me talking about it in the other. Tunneling, camping is only good if you do it efficiently and in efficient situations. If you do it against good players in bad situations, you will lose. It is a fast ticket to losing the game. And that's why a lot of people have this, oh, the game is forever started, I tunnel and camp and I still lose. You're bad. You are bad. You are bad. You are. The only chapter that feels the least disconnected from DBD is Tomb Raider. Not that I think she shouldn't be in the game, just that she's the only licensed character to have no horror at all in there. So you just don't know what you're talking about. Tomb Raider has a lot of horror in the source material. That is just factually incorrect. You have an idea of what Tomb Raider is, and it's not what you think it is. 96 zero skill expression. I do agree. Not zero, but a lot of people say that she's the hardest killer. I think fucking Nemesis is harder than Nurse. But the DB community is incredibly wholesome, and the other half probably used to play League. That is, you're giving me a statistic here, like 50-50. I don't think it's like that. I do think there are games that are more toxic than DBD, but I think every game is toxic nowadays. There's no avoiding it. Clan Survivor shouldn't be in the game. It should be Puffalope and Puffalope. The Clash of the Titans. Yeah. The main event. Every map should be nighttime. Nah. I think the variation in lighting is good. Average solo queue survivors would win a hell of a lot more games if they were forced to run Kindred. I agree. I actually agree. Kindred is very good, but I don't think it's worth a perk slot. I think it should be base kit. Windows should deactivate during chase. I mean, I hate Windows, but the problem is the map design. But they're never going to fix map design, so we could... But Windows only makes bad players worse. Like, if they're not bringing Windows, they would just be worse players. I don't know. Oh no, it's a complicated topic. Toxicity in DBD isn't even that bad. It's pretty bad, but it's bad in every game, every competitive game. It's just that DBD doesn't have an identity, so people don't know what to expect. So when the toxicity comes, they're like, oh. Sometimes the competitive player is the other person is just more competitive than you. You know, Billy is better than Blight. I think after the nerfs, Billy is a lot worse than Blight. Because Blight still has guaranteed hits, Billy doesn't. So, yeah, that's again, it's a hard concept to understand if you're more casual than me. But yeah, Blight still has guaranteed hits, Billy doesn't. So in a theoretical perfect scenario, Billy gets 0 hooks while Blight will get like at least 5. You know what I mean? That's again, it's a hard concept to understand. Comp DBD is fun. I agree. I should watch it more. No change. We're good. She was, in my opinion, the least fun killer to play against. I do think that she needed to get fucking slapped. Yeah. I think they overdid it, though. I don't know. I think it's just that Xenomorph players don't understand why Xenomorph is not fun to play against. But I think they overdid it, and there's a lot of bugs as well. So, yeah, no, I think they should go about it in a different way. I don't know why it took them so long to change her as well. That's what hits the hardest, is that established Xenomorph players like the Mr. Headache, they're used to a certain Xenomorph. Whereas if Xenomorph was changed to be weaker and more playable against at the start, they wouldn't feel as harshly about these changes. But these changes are very bad. They're just a classic behavior, take out back and shoot in the head. So yeah, no, I don't think we can defend the Xenomorph changes. I do think that the overreaction that Xenomorph players are having to it is because they're just used to a different power level that I sincerely don't think fits in DBD, even with the turrets being very good counterplay apparently. It's just not something you can expect of the average player, you know. And the game is never the game has never been balanced around the best players in the game. So it is just it's an unfair argument to say that because turrets exist and perfect turret placements counters the killer, it doesn't deserve any changes. It's very entitled and it's very insensitive. The game is not balanced around the best players, you know, and you're not playing against the best players, and the turrets are borderline useless if you don't use them perfectly. So yeah, I do think that Xenomorph needs a change. Buff Treddy is a bit too strong, and Blight doesn't take as much skill to play as. Blight is the hardest killer in the game, right behind Wesker, I think. But yeah, against bad players, Blight, you can just use your power to catch up and M1 them down. But yeah. Blight is probably the hardest killer, like that doesn't have any like exploitable text, that is still the hardest killer in the game. Unless we're talking about like Wesker hug text and stuff, then it's harder. Singularity is a fundamentally poorly designed killer. That's your opinion, I guess. I disagree. I think he's cool. I do think he's boring when he gets free hits on me though. Anyway, the game will die as if they stop adding content. I agree actually. Yeah, because there's no competition. You should add in emotes / taunts as microtransactions. Yeah, I think they're missing out on money by not adding those. Wesker is one of the most boring killers to play against. Fair enough. But I don't see how. Because there's no guaranteed hits on Wesker. Everything that you can play against most of the time. So I don't see that. I disagree. Batum is the worst realm / map in the game, hands down. Yeah, it's very poorly designed. Tombstone should be base kit. Nice. I hate mither. Trapper is not an F tier killer, and he is one of the few killers that can make me feel anxious. Sometimes it feels like the whole map is trapped. Trapper is one of the worst killers in the game, and you will notice that this person is commentating from a survivor perspective. If you take the killer perspective of this, if you play a few Trapper games, you will understand why he's so weak. And yeah, literally every single comment, 51 minutes. Oh my fucking god. So in the first 17 hours of this post, everyone that commented had a response. Nice.